Okay. Obviously, terrific basketball game. It's funny. I said that to one of the officials standing right next to me. They're late, and Ian missed the next two free throws. Or maybe I spoke too soon. But really proud of the way our guys played. Second half, we played about as well as we can play. And, I have a lot of respect for John and what he's doing at Duke. That's not an easy spot he took over, obviously for Coach K, who's, on the Mount Rushmore of college basketball. And he's got him playing at an extremely high level. And they're doing everything at a high level. So that's not easy to do in this time of college basketball. But tonight's about our guys, really. Our guys, mustering up the spirit and energy after a tough loss and really just doing what we needed to do to give ourselves a chance to win. And then making the plays that you have to make in a hard, tough environment, tough game. So that was awesome. I can't thank our fans enough. This place is just special when it's like this. Obviously, it's been like this several times this year now, and I'm very thankful for that. I know our players are, and I think it certainly affects the outcome of the game. So shout out to them. But this was a big win for us. Obviously, another one coming on Monday, so we got to get on to the next pretty quickly. Questions for me?
Victor played just 16 minutes out of 55 the other night. Whatever you said to him obviously pushed the right buttons.
Yeah, I talked to him about it after the South Carolina. It was the same thing. He's just a valuable player. He's got to, temper his emotions. Sometimes he's a very emotional guy and cares and wants to win and do well. And he was terrific. He was as good as anybody on the floor tonight. And finished a lot of plays. We went to him. There was more space down there. They were taking away some of our threes. So I thought he did a really good job of showing poise and finishing. And that was a big part of the win.
Coach, what was your strategy for trying to shut down Cooper? Obviously, for the first 34 minutes, you held him at 4 points. What was the strategy going in?
Yeah, just do what we can to make his catches a little tougher, and nothing that anybody else hasn't done. We're just be physical, and they had other guys making shots, so that was part of it. I do think we maybe gapped a little, and then those guys were making shots that made it hard on us. They made some big-time shots tonight. He was great, obviously, down the stretch. But we did just good enough job to find a way to win.
Brad, what was the thought process there when Victor missed that layup? You took him out for about 30 seconds there.
It was nothing. In fact, one of the assistants subbed him because I've let Billy and Sean, based on matchups and a lot of things that are going in the game. I just have a great staff, and so there are times that those guys will ask me things, but there's also times when I've told them, whether it's fouls or whether there's a matchup we've talked about before the game, or you guys see a guy getting tired and we're right near the media. If you want to take a guy out real quick and do something, just do it. Don't I'm thinking about too many other things. And so those guys did it. So, in some ways you might have to ask them, but it wasn't anything, significant. He was fine.
Speaking of matchups, Dylan Hunter started in place of Chauncey Wiggins tonight. I guess what was your reasoning behind doing that?
Well, he was sick the last 2 days and didn't practice. So today was really the first day he did any work at all this morning, and I just wasn't going to start him based on that. I felt like Dylan has been playing well, and it wasn't a big deal. But Dylan played well tonight, and Chauncey wasn't 100%, and hopefully he starts to feel better, and he'll play better when he does.
Brad, between the rebounding, you guys obviously dominated on the glass, points in the paint. Other than the physicality, was there anything else that you think you guys did well that enabled you to have that success inside?
We didn't have to rotate as much. I think sometimes you get rotations and then you don't have a hat on a hat, or you have a guard blocking out a big. The other big thing just for us, based on like the last game, was Victor's out there. And so now you have a bigger player that is consistently out there, whether he gets the rebounds or not. He takes up space. He's able to put his body on other bigger players. I thought Chase Hunter did a great job rebounding defensively tonight. So yeah, that was a big part of it for us.
Did y'all have a sense going in that Victor was going to be able to have that type of space?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, just, I mean, watching a bunch of film, and, you know, Duke does a great job of defending the three. And, you know, we're a pretty good three-point shooting team, and so we felt like we might have a little more space, and tonight he was able to take advantage.
You said you circled the word composure like 20 times.
Yeah. That was our discussion after the Georgia Tech game. And then today, reiterated it with him that, you know, when he's under, his emotions are intact, when he's composed and thinking clearly, he's a very good player. I mean, it's funny because in games, he's literally making suggestions to me probably more frequently than I would like. But we encourage that with our players. So he's thinking the game. He's trying to think the next play. He's, you know, every once in a while I got to tell him, please let me coach. Like, we're fine. Like, relax. I got you. And, but he gets going. That's how he gets going. Like, he cares. He wants to do well. But emotionally, he's wound up. And sometimes it causes him to lose his composure when bad things happen. Obviously, he had the ball knocked away, and then he reaches and fouls the guy. And those are the fouls that get him out of the game, you know. So we just talked about that, about he's a very smart player, but when you lose your composure, you're not a smart player. And you want to be known as a smart player. This doesn't go hand in hand here. Let's work on that. So tonight in this atmosphere, it's going to be really easy to lose your composure. And so that was our life lesson today.
Coach, with Duke's size, they can really switch 1 through 5 without any mismatches. How challenging is that, and what was the key?
Well, there are mismatches. There are still mismatches. They have guards guarding Ian or Victor, and we're not always, you know, sometimes we might throw it to them. Sometimes it's rebounding against it. Sometimes it's a big out on the floor against a guard. So there are mismatches. You know, you know, I talk to my guys a lot about let's not over-exploit the mismatch. Let's keep playing, play through the switch, and not worry about, you know, we don't have to throw the high-low pass. We don't have to. Like, if it's there, great. If it's not, keep playing and move them and drive them and make other plays. And so I thought our guys did a good job of that.
Coach, you have 4th, 5th, 6th-year players on this team. What does that veteran leadership do in tight games like this?
Yeah, it's a lot. They've been through a lot of games. They know how to win. You know, they've handled good situations, tough situations. You know, tonight was really good. They were talking to each other in huddles, you know, encouraging each other. You could feel how much they really wanted to win. And they stayed composed. You know, I thought in the beginning of the game we lost a little bit of composure, not only because we were trying too hard on certain things. Had some careless turnovers, had some turnovers that we were forcing, playing a little too fast. And it's like, that's what you worry about sometimes in these environments, you know, when you're so excited and everybody's cheering and you want to do well so badly that you almost get in your own way a little bit. Second half, we got that fixed.
Christian gave you a little bit of a spark with 5 straight points there. How cool was that for him?
Yeah, it was
against his
great.
former team?
Obviously, he's been working hard, improving. I think the last 2 months he's kind of seen himself get better, and so he's been asking for more work, both in the weight room, you know, time on the court with assistant coaches. Coach Bender's done a good job with him in the film room, and hopefully we're going to see some fruits of that labor, and he is too.
Brad, you guys had that 12-0 run. You went from down 5 to up 7.
Yeah.
I think. What did you like about your defense during that stretch? I think they went scoreless for almost 5 minutes.
I thought we had a good mix of some pressure, but didn't lose our positioning, and that's not easy to do against them. You know, they run a lot of really good stuff, a lot of unique action, off-ball screening, on-ball screening with different folks, spread you, and so, you know, I think our guys kept sustaining some good pressure and kept our positioning as good as we could.
We've talked a good deal this year about your job and your staff's job in managing through emotions and their fatigue and all of that.
Yeah.
Just these last few days and having this team ready for this, and also to not start to panic when things maybe weren't going your way in all the places it usually does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know we have a good team, so there's no panic. But obviously there was disappointment, and you know, we just didn't play as well as we needed to against Georgia Tech, and had a little bit of careless play, a little casual play, and you know, got punched a little bit, and just a big physical team bothered us that night. Obviously, the foul trouble was a major problem. And, you know, our guys were a little wounded. You know, we had a tough film session and talked about things a little bit. But, you know, the best decision I made leading up to the game was on Thursday we didn't do much work. We didn't do any physical work like bone on bone. We did some dry offense and we walked through some defense. But even though we just lost and the way we lost, our guys the guys played pretty hard in certain areas and it was a very physical game. And so I knew that emotionally and physically, like we had guys that needed to rest. These older bodies needed rest. And so we rested. And then we had a good practice Friday and we were sharp.
With that said, what's your approach?
Same thing. Like this is really hard. Like this is a flip, you know. But I told our team it's like an NCAA tournament weekend. You win a good game, and now you got a second one. You know, 48 hours later. North Carolina had a great win today. They'll come in here with good spirit and energy, and obviously this is a big win for them if they can get it. Quad one, and obviously it's a big game for us. We need to keep doing what we're doing. We need to validate tonight's win, and so we're going to have a team meeting at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We'll meet a couple times.
How special was to have Dick Vitale back in?
Yeah, it was great. I've spent some time with him. He actually called me the day before we played NC State to let me know that this was going to be the game that he was going to return to, and we had a lot of conversations in the subsequent days. And you know, it's so good for college basketball. What he means to college basketball. You know, I was a young guy watching him on his start in ESPN, and really was doing a lot of games that I didn't pay a lot of attention to until, you know, ESPN and he started getting into it. And I mean, he's changed college basketball for television, and so to have him back where he belongs is terrific.
Coach, what kind of statement win like that do to help propel you guys down the back handful of games in conference play?
Yeah, well, it's a great win for our resume. You know, it's another confidence builder for our team, that when we're locked in and playing at a high level and doing the things we need to do and we prepare the right way, we can play with just about anybody in the country. And obviously it's a big win for our program, and a lot of people got to see this today. We had a couple of recruits here, and just the environment that this is a great place to be a player. Unbelievable school, you know, been highly successful here these last 7 or 8 years, and you know, this is a place you should take a look at.
Guys, what was your read, the first half play where Knuppel and Zachary got tangled up and they ended up reviewing it and assessing?
You know, I never saw it. I haven't seen anything with it. I was too busy on other things.
Speaking of Clemson success, you guys have won 5 straight games against AP top 5 opponents. What makes it that your team, I don't want to say get up, but performs well against these considered high-ranked teams?
Good players. I mean, you got to have great players to beat these kinds of teams, and good preparation, and hopefully maturity, probably with a group of guys that believe they can win, right? Not hoping to win, but playing to win, aggressively making plays to win. I think that's happened in these last matchups.
Your picture is now Garrett Riley's new profile pic on Twitter.
Okay.
Comment on that?
I don't watch. I'm not on that. So, but tell Garrett thank you. If I knew how to put his on mine, I would.